Welcome to Behind the Backline, the podcast where we chat with merchants, brands, and industry professionals in the musical instrument, pro audio, and event technology space about their products, services, industry trends, stories, and more. Join us now as we dig into the stories behind our favorite backline gear.
Welcome to episode 11 of Behind the Backline. I'm Matt Jacoby of Octave Media, and today I'm speaking with the founder from Playtime Engineering, Troy Sheets. Thanks for joining me today, Troy.
Yeah, hi, great to be here.
Yeah, so can you tell us a little bit about who you are?
Yeah, again, my name is Troy. I'm the founder and creator of the Blipblox by Playtime Engineering, and this is a synthesizer basically designed for kids.
Very cool. So I noticed the age range on it starts from 3 on up. So kind of how does it transition to adulthood?
The nice thing about this product is it really is a fully functional synthesizer. So although when you first look at it, it's clearly a toy, it's clearly made for kids to have fun with. As you get sort of under the hood and you start playing with it some more, you'll find there's a lot of details and a lot of complexity, so you can actually use it as a real professional synthesizer. So it's something that I think kids can grow into, and even their parents can borrow for actual music production.
Cool. Yeah, I noticed it had an interface to connect to other, I guess you could say, adult synthesizers. Does it act as a extended module as well? Or
yeah, exactly. It has MIDI interfaces, so it has a MIDI in, so you can plug in an external keyboard or an external sequencer, so you can actually use the Blipblox as a real tone generator, and it has an audio output jack also, so you can basically put MIDI into it, get MIDI out of it, so you can use it as a real studio or performance tool.
And I did notice that it was very kid oriented, because when I was playing with it, I felt like I might have been one of the few adults at the booth at NAMM that time. There was, I think, some of the consumers had come through and had brought kids along with. So it was appealing to everybody at that the day that I stopped by. So
yeah, we had fun. It was really great at NAMM. Whenever NAMM isn't a real kid oriented event, so when we did have some children come through, it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, actually, I don't think I was expecting to see kids there at all. And now that I think about it, I feel like you might have been one of the only or few booths that actually had kids, now that I think back, because it was just like, wait, this is all an adult event. So
Right.
So how long has the product been kind of in development, or where did the idea spawn from?
Yeah, I've had this idea for a long time. I've been into synthesizers and electronic music for many years, since I was really a teenager myself. And, for several years, I've had this idea of taking the real fun aspects of synthesizers, because I've always thought them to be a lot of fun, especially when you get into, the big synthesizers and the modular synthesizers, just sitting and tweaking the knobs and really exploring new sounds. I've always thought that to be a lot of fun. And so I spent a lot of time trying to think how we could take that experience and simplify it and actually create something that children could have that same experience with. So about 4 years ago, I got really serious about starting with software design, doing some of the real preliminary work on it. And I started from scratch. Literally, the first thing I did was write software to create basically a sawtooth wave. That's about the easiest thing you can do in software. And the entire code base for the whole product is based, started from that point. So it's all completely custom. And I just kept, writing the code and kept making progress on it. I got into some of the mechanical design of the product, some of the plastic design. I got a 3D printer. I started playing with CAD software, and I built up some prototypes. I had a lot of fun with that. And at that point, I was really seeing that I could have a real product here. One of the main sort of the big breakthroughs I had is when I decided to go look for a real industrial designer, a real sort of industrial product designer, to actually make this into a real product. And I started hunting around a little bit, and I ended up hooking up with Axel Hartmann at Designbox in Germany. And he is a very well-known synthesizer designer. He's done the product design for a lot of Waldorf synths, a lot of Moog synths. And he really liked this idea, and I was sort of surprised. I was really happy that he was into the idea. He actually had synthesizer and toy experience. He liked this idea, and he basically got back to me with some prototypes, and they just looked fantastic. I was really blown away. So basically, that was the point where I really thought that we had an exciting product to work with. So from there, we've just been working on the details, and we got all the way to our launch at NAMM with our prototypes. So it's been a good journey.
Yeah, definitely. Now, from someone who has actually seen the interface, can you, and this might be the only kind of little questionable area that I wanted to ask you about, was how do all of the, it's kind of diagrammed for kids, and as an adult, it's a little embarrassing to say this, but how do all like the arrows and everything, like it's almost like a map. I felt like it's kind of leads you around the buttons and stuff. And how does that kind of, direct you in terms of using it?
Sure. We spent a lot of time on basically this diagram and the user interface. And we spent a lot of time trying to figure out, what do we label, or do we label anything? And as we started to, I sort of went down this path of basically labeling each button, trying to explain what each button did right on the synthesizer. And it just started to get really cluttered, and it sort of started to lose the toy aspect once we started to put too much technical detail in on the faceplate there itself. And we basically ended up leaning towards this sort of design with just the signal flow arrows, which is admittedly a little bit cryptic. I think a lot of people will say that the design is a little bit cryptic, but it turns out I think that's a little bit, it's sort of part of the fun. And the arrows actually, they tell a lot of the story about what's going on. So we have them color coded. So, for example, we have green arrows, and those represent the notes. So there's a button to select the different sequences, and those flow into a lever that controls the tempo of the notes. So you can see all that along the green lines. And then those green lines flow into the oscillator, and also flowing into the oscillator are the blue control signals. So that's where you have your envelopes and your LFOs. They flow into the oscillator. And when you combine the notes and the control signals, you basically get the audio out. And the audio is represented by the red lines. And then the red line will go through the filter, and then it will go through go out through the volume control. So it really is sort of someone I heard describe it as they say it looks sort of like Chutes and Ladders, where you sort of flow through the signal flow, and it's really not that complicated. So once you know the basics, I'm very happy with the way it turned out. I think it's a good balance between keeping sort of a fun, playful look to the product without burdening it with too much technical diagrams or too much technical sort of jargon on the front panel there.
Okay. Yeah, that makes a lot more sense. I'm not necessarily a synthesizer guy. I'm more of a drummer actually, but just kind of knowing that, they represent signal flow versus like actual steps, and do I push this button next? It was more of like a step-by-step button push thing at first. That was my first impression, but signal flow makes more sense. So you kind of get the feel and flow as to where things are going internally, and kind of how they interact with each other. That's kind of cool.
Yeah. The idea is really, so when a child first plays with it, they don't need to know what's going on. They can just have fun, randomly pressing the buttons, and that's an entertaining experience. But the hope is that as the children use it more, they will get more interested into what's going on with it, and they will actually want to learn what these signals are doing. And we have a very comprehensive manual. So when the kids want to start learning more about it, or when adults want a deeper understanding, we lay out all the details there.
Okay. Do you have you ever heard it considered like a gateway drug to synthesizers?
Yeah, the number of times I've heard the term, start them early at NAMM is, I must have heard that hundreds of times.
Gotcha.
But it's great. It's, I was lucky enough as a child as a teenager to get at the time, was some really nice, music equipment through my parents. And I understand not all children can have access to that. Hopefully, with the Blipblox, it will lower the bar as to for when children and how children can start getting into music and production.
Cool. So I could kind of take a guess as to where the name came from, but I probably shouldn't. Where did it come from, or how did it originate?
I bounced around a lot of names. I liked, I think most people really want to call it the Blipbox, but there are a lot of other products out there from all sorts of different. There's a few different products out there called Blipbox, and I just did not want to have that deal with any sort of copyright issue. So I went with Blipblox. I put an L in there. It has a nice sort of rhyme to it. And the blocks, you can think of building blocks as sort of like music building blocks. The Blipblox. That's basically where I was thinking of that.
Got it. Okay. Yeah. For the most part, I'll always say, "Oh, box too," but it's good that you've differentiated that, because I feel like I've heard that before. So.
Yeah.
Cool. So like for me as a drummer, where we can interface with electronic drum brains, is this something that could actually benefit us too, or is this more of just a typical synthesizer audience?
It is fun. There is a very simple drum machine on it. It has a kick and a snare, and you have to say for a kid's toy, being able to hit those buttons and just having a kick and a snare adds a lot to the product and adds a lot of fun. There's also drum patterns. So you can either turn the drum patterns on and off. You can have the Blipblox play the drums, or you can play them manually. There's also some deeper features in there where you can play with the drum tones and the drum release times. So it's kind of a fun drum machine, especially once you can change the assignment of the knobs to like change the tone or the pitch of some of the drums. And that starts to get really fun. So, I know, being a drummer, I don't know your opinion on drum machines, but certainly I want to put the fun of both synthesizers and drum machines into this product. And
cool.
I think, yeah.
I'm not too pessimistic. I'm not worried that they're going to, replace us as drummers or take over the drumming world in anytime soon. So I think I'll be okay with it. Does it interface with any other instruments? Like, would it work with I guess I think guitar at first, but I guess, does it have any applications for other instruments?
So it has the MIDI in. So really what you can do with it is any device that can send a MIDI signal, and that includes a keyboard, also like electronic drum pads. So if you had electronic drum pads that can send MIDI signals, you could play the device with that, and you also have the audio out. So really, anything that you can push into it with MIDI, you can play the Blipblox, and you get the nice the audio out, which you can go directly like into a sound card. So you can start to put that into your music workstation and do some fun stuff with that.
Cool. I have to ask, because I can't imagine you stand out as a direct competitor to adult size synthesizers, but have any other synthesizer companies like come to you in terms of like, hey, thanks for creating this space that's a way for people to like, they're building future customers for other people too? Is this, have you ever thought of it that way, or?
Yeah, we actually had a lot of fun at NAMM. We, early in the morning, this one Asian gentleman came by, and he was a very average looking guy, and he was very interested in the product. And he had a Korg sticker on, a Korg badge, and we were chatting, had a really nice chat, and then he gave me his card, and he was actually the president of Korg. So it was pretty fun to. He was very interested in the product, and it was very fun to chat with him. And get some of his feedback on the product. He was very interested. I think it's I'm actually surprised in my development that there hasn't been a lot of other products out there that's attempted to grab this space. So basically a synthesizer for kids. There's so many children's music products out there that are basically sample based. They just play back samples. Your standard piano and bells and I'm actually surprised there hasn't been a children's music synthesizer that's hit the market. There's been one or two other sort of smaller devices out there. We're certainly not the very first to do this, but it's been really good to basically hit the market with something pretty new and pretty fresh. It's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, definitely. Now that you say that, I just thinking back to my childhood, like, all the keyboards and all the little kid versions of all these things that we would have gotten. This didn't really stand out as something that was already out there where you can actually create your own sounds, experiment a little bit more than just your typical sampler. So, yeah, kudos to you guys. Actually, I have to say quick. The main reason I stopped by your booth at NAMM was because, and I don't remember who I talked to. I was there. He gave me your card, of course, but I had told him that I came by because I saw like the night before, because I think I came by the second day of NAMM, and the night before I saw that you guys have been listed in that Billboard article as the 7 companies to watch at NAMM. And how did that feel? Just being listed by Billboard as one of those.
Yeah, it was really great. Right before NAMM, we sort of released the product and we pushed all the the marketing materials out, and it really there's not too many times in your life where you're going to get to go viral with something. So that it sort of went viral. It spread across the internet pretty quick, and that was just a real exhilarating experience. Going to NAMM with the new product, having a bunch of hype behind us, just tons of fun, very exciting. It really made the whole experience great for us.
Cool. Since it's kind of still, I should ask: is it publicly available yet, or is it still kind of in the works?
So we're fully announced, and we're trying to get as many people interested as we can right now, and we are going to pre-sell via a crowdfunding campaign on Indiegogo in June. So ours is a little bit different. We're going to our pre-sale funding campaign with a product that is really ready to go. And we're finishing up all the compliance details. So we're going to be crowdfunding really to organize the pre-sale aspect of it. So that's sort of our next big step.
Cool. And during this time between when the early versions were done, I won't say prototypes, but early versions were done, and your NAMM and now your June launch, is there anybody that's have you released it to a select few group of people, or have any I don't want to say celebrities or any bigger names kind of been able to test it? Or
yeah. So we've gone to a few other events. So we've had some booths where people can use it. We are getting basically our next batch of our finalized versions within a week or two. And those are the units that we are going to start to get out to some beta testers, maybe some key influencers. So it's this next round of our finalized product that we'll be getting them out there more.
Cool. Very cool. And for the people who have used it, how impactful has it been? Have their eyes lit up? Have they given you new feedback, that kind of thing?
Yeah. It's been good. It's the most fun to give it to kids. We give it to kids and you see their reaction. They're the hardest to gauge, right? You can really, you have a pretty good idea of how adults are going to react. But kids are big mysteries. So if you can see a kid get excited about the product, that's really been fun. And we really think the kids are responding once they start to get into it. Once they sort of start to understand that they're creating the sound, they really have a lot of fun with it. So we're having a great time with that.
That's awesome. As a parent, I'm just thinking of my 2 boys, how they would react to sitting down in front of this. And I would imagine that they would probably light up just ooh, I can do that. I would think it's much more fun than just playing a piano.
Yeah.
Well, very cool. So right now, since it's kind of still in educational mode, not quite ready for public purchase, but what's your website so people can find out more about it?
Yeah, we are at blipblox.com. That is all one word. That's BLIPBLOX. And there we will have what we're really encouraging people to sign up to our mailing lists. We don't send out a lot of mail, but we are using the people on our mailing list to basically get them early bird discounts for our launch in June. So everyone on our mailing list will get the first opportunity to get the best price for these units. So our very first units will be at a discounted price. So we're encouraging everyone to sign up on our.
Cool. And what is the suggested end price? You don't have to give me the discount, but what's the public price?
Yeah, we've been targeting $159 for MSRP.
Okay. Yeah, that seems fairly reasonable. Even the kids can save up for that with chores. So.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Well, awesome. Well, I appreciate you joining me today. This has been fun.
Yeah, it's been a great talk. Yep.
Yeah. Good luck to you guys with this. It sounds like it's going well so far, and can't wait to see it get on the market and see what the full impact of it is. So cool. Well, thank you for listening to the Behind the Backline today, brought to you by Active Media, an inbound marketing agency focused on helping music merchants develop an automated solution to increase website sales. You can find Active Media at www.active.media. Don't forget to subscribe to our podcast in iTunes or Google Play Music to learn more about great products and companies in the musical instrument, pro audio, and event technology space. And be sure to leave a review to let us know what you thought of this episode. We encourage you to share us with your friends and colleagues via social media, and we'll see you next time. Take care.